Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you are having a fantastic day. Happy Friday to you and your family. We're obviously taking a look at XRP, helping understand best practice, big picture, and my goodness, did I get a lot of requests for this one here. And I can also say, my goodness, for how ugly this candlestick looks. There's a lot of interesting stuff we want to cover here today, of course. It's no surprise the price continued higher the way that it has, but it's also interesting how it's kind of peaked out and effectively retracing. I think the main reason, of course, is because Bitcoin's having a bad day. That is the main catalyst, I would say. But generally speaking, XRP is exuding some really good behavior. So if you are new to the channel, just note, not a financial advisor, right? I love teaching people to trade. I do have a trading community where we all learn and grow together. I have a trading university that teaches you how to become a better trader. A lot of recent graduates that are moving on to do this day in and day out as their day job. It's really awesome to see that. And then very last but not least too, I also have a signal group where I send out signals for every single trade that I take. And we've been taking some pretty awesome profits. You take a look here, XRP, we took a nice cool 50% after 21 and a half hours. Well, almost 22 hours. So really good stuff there. And if you obviously take a look, we took some profits as well for Bitcoin recently. So I mean, again, these are really awesome situations to be able to share with my community, and that's just kind of part of everything and what you get with that. Furthermore, too, highly recommend you use BitGet. It's my favorite exchange of all time, and the reason why I say that is just mainly because they allow you to have leverage in the United States with no VPN. It's really awesome, and they also give you a pretty healthy amount of transfer bonus if you just transfer funds over and trade with them. That's really all you gotta do. It's pretty straightforward. If you have questions on that, go ahead and let me know. But generally speaking, very awesome exchange. Their mobile application is fantastic. So let's talk about this candlestick here. So here's the thing to recognize. Generally speaking, in most markets, again, cryptocurrency can be a little different. But when you have an actual candlestick that is this size as well as this low, what this basically is telling us here is that the price had opened right here, came all the way up and came all the way down, or so actually technically we're lower now than the price had opened, and it had traveled up so much higher. Okay, so you think about this bottom to top, roughly 17% increase followed by a 20% decrease, right? Generally speaking, that's what's happening. It comes up, comes down. This is considered a Gravestone Doji candle, telling you and basically signaling that the price action should be maxed out and effectively turning itself around. Is that a guarantee? No. I have seen stranger things in trading. But hypothetically, if you were to bank on that one thing, that candlestick pattern, I would say in general, has at least a 60 to 70% probability of continuing to come to fruition, right? Granted, the candlestick hasn't closed yet today, right? It's too premature, a little early. But it does kind of scream short signal to me. That's kind of what it's telling us. Again, you never take a trade on one thing, but that is essentially the one thing I would say that is something to recognize. Also keep in mind too, RSI is up over 70. This could very well work as a support level. Price action could very well come down and bounce off the 46-cent range. We could totally see that. So keep in mind, there's a lot of different variables, of course, but that's kind of where we're at. Let's go ahead and adjust the Fibonacci retracement levels here. Because again, when you adjust Fibonacci retracement, keep this in mind, it's typically the most recent low, which we found here, as well as the fact that it's the most recent high. Since today's candlestick hasn't closed yet, you don't move it up to the top yet. We do that tomorrow, okay? So again, for now, we're looking at the current retracement. So once again, right here at about 46 cents, you could very well see the price action come down and bounce. 0.618 is a very common characteristic though in trading. So if the price were to retrace consistently, we would see 43 cents retested. And that was a point in which I wanted to take entry if the price were to come back down. When I covered it, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, the price was consolidating right at like 44 cents. And I was wanting to get in for a long at 43. We missed the boat. Price continued higher. But what it is, it did a standard jump up past that key level resistance, came back down to retest and bounced. It's essentially what happened. Regardless of that fact, that you don't want to cry over spilt milk, right? Because that's how trading is. You're going to miss a lot of opportunity. But generally speaking, with what we're seeing here, there's a lot of overextension, okay? And it would make sense for the price action to go sideways at the very best and or down from here, just based on that overall sense. So keep this in mind too. This pattern is still ascending, right? Until that trend breaks to the downside, we don't have confirmation it's going to continue lowering, right? But we do have confirmation in other ways too, right, with candlestick pattern. So again, mostly bearish on the larger time frame there, I would say. So just keep that in mind. But once again, we're still in this ascending trend and we got some time to figure it out. Okay, so again, hypothetically a short down to 46 cents wouldn't be a terrible call. But once again, we want to look at smaller time frames to identify. Right? Again, don't get nearsighted and get super excited that, oh my gosh, it's bearish. We're gonna take a short position. there's a lot of little things you want to kind of factor in. 4 hour, first of all, here we're starting to lose this MACD convergence. We're essentially diverging. We're not there yet. Once again, no confirmation, but we're absolutely losing a lot of momentum to the upside, which makes sense because it came up and kind of just blew its load. It hit too hard, too fast, and it's not ideal for us to be able to sustain something like that. Once again, parabolic increases are not good. I don't know why people get in their head that parabolic is a fantastic thing and that you want to just continue to ride the lightning. If you hadn't taken profits to the upside by now, you're doing it wrong, okay? Again, we can look at standard deviation to kind of reiterate that, but if we look at the RSI coming back down, that's standard stuff. We're looking at the RSI, we're going to sway down to effectively continue to lower, potentially to bounce off of 50. We lose 50 on the RSI here, that's a different story altogether, but that is running concurrent once again with about 46 cents, okay? So that's kind of where we're at there in that regard. If we take a look at the 1 hour, we can kind of see that we're getting a bit of a rejection right here at this previous resistance at almost exactly 50 cents. So what do you know? Round number in trading. I say that because I got this question, from one of my community members, like, why do you set your profit targets and/or your stop loss targets at specific key levels? In other words, round numbers. Well, because majority of other traders are using those round numbers as well. So if you want to get filled, hypothetically, just say you would want to maybe use a number just prior to that round number, just say 49 cents to the upside, for example, and then you would essentially get filled, right? So there's a handful of little things you could apply, but generally speaking, that's where this factors in. So right now we have this bearish engulfing candle forming. Obviously, we're only 37 minutes into the hour. Not a big deal there, so we don't really want to worry too much about that. Let's take a look at TD sequential and kind of see. We came down to an 8, and now we're potentially getting a reset. Okay, so keep in mind, XRP is hitting 9s pretty consistently, but on the same accord, it's also maxing itself out, hitting 7s and 6s too. So in that regard, it's actually good because XRP has had these healthy increases followed by nice periods of consolidation. So right now, hypothetically where we're at, we're going to see consolidation in this range and potentially lower. I would say 43 cents seems like a likelihood at this point, but generally speaking, it's not looking great for XRP. In fact, you can see the price kind of doing a nice little dump there. I'm curious, is Bitcoin losing itself? Not really. Bitcoin's hovering around the same price as it's been most of the day, and XRP is still coming down. That disconnect, that like I say, disconnection essentially, it helps us understand that XRP is probably going to continue lower, right? Because hypothetically, XRP should stay the price that's at if Bitcoin is going sideways, but it's not correlating itself directly with Bitcoin, more independent, you could say, and it's working its way down. All right. I don't know if any of that made sense, but that's just, those are things that kind of go through my head when I take a trade. So take a look at this here. If you had a long position, once again, you should have closed it by now because the conversion line is intersecting with the baseline, giving us a potential short signal, as well as the fact the lagging span's almost intersected with the price action. So, this is pretty much screaming, close your long position, but it's not telling us to take a short yet because obviously we want to be below the cloud if that were to happen. If the price continues sideways here, just say hypothetically, and continues to consolidate at 46 cents, and 24 hours later we're below the cloud, that'd be a case in point where you might want to consider shorting. Okay, you could even consider shorting now, which isn't the worst idea ever, because it is absolutely looking like it wants to continue to run, but on the same accord, no confirmation, no target, right? I don't think you should just arbitrarily jump in because of that. So that's kind of where we're at there on the other sense of things. Let's take one last look here at the at standard deviation based on volume, and we can see what we're hovering really close to these standard deviation lines. Sorry, recovering from a cold. My voice is a little funky today. So if you take a look and you can kind of see the price action continues to bounce off these lower deviation lines. That's pretty much just telling us that based on the volume, right now, for the last 24 hours, the price should be at 51 cents. And right now we're outside of that deviation essentially, which is what puts us about 6%, well, actually higher now, closer to 8% outside of that. Okay, when you have a deviation of somewhere in the range of 5 to 10%, it's usually cause for a reversal, or in some cases, like right now, it's cause for continuation. I know it seems contradictory, but the volume weighted average price tells us a lot, and that this is working as a resistance level, and as that continues to come down, we're probably going to see the price continue lower. Okay, so again, not looking fantastic for XRP, all right? Unless, of course, you're an optimist and you like to short. In that case, it's probably pretty awesome. So I would say you're much more likely to find benefit shorting than longing this coin, just based on the Doji candle that is forming. It's a significant Gravestone candle, as well as the fact that there's other bearish qualities too. Likely a 70% probability the price is going to go lower. But again, you want to wait for confirmation, give it another 12 hours before taking entry, because there's a great chance this could very well recover, especially if Bitcoin makes a run up to 19.5. There's a great chance of that too, because Bitcoin isn't looking as terrible as you'd think. It's the more so the traditional markets, NASDAQ, S&P 500, they've had a pretty rough week. Literally 4 out of 5 days this week, they've been red. So that, in conjunction with dollar index having one of its best days of the year, there's a correlation here, right? Dollar index goes up, Bitcoin goes down, other coins follow suit. XRP is starting to align itself, but hasn't completely yet. All right, anyways, I hope that made sense and I explained this correctly. And if you want to learn something more and become a community member, we have a fantastic community. We all learn and grow together. I have a trading university, as well as, of course, signals that I send for every trade that I take. So looking forward to working with you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you all in the next one. Take care.